Welcome back to Bleav in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy Jerraud Powers. Jerraud, how have you been this past week, man?
Been good, man. With the weather changing, I had a little, allergy mishap over the weekend, where lips was burning, eyes was red, the whole nine, sneezing and all that. But other than that, life is good, man. I can't complain. How about yourself?
Yeah, I've had some issues here and there. Not so bad that I can't handle it. Again, what helps is when you get news, that is positive, and it depends upon how you look at the Indianapolis Colts couple signings that they had, whether how you look at that or not.
Hmm.
But we'll get into that in just a moment. But I just want to let everyone know that Bet Online is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info and odds. Find the latest sports developments, including the start of the Major League Baseball season, along with you know everything, your odds on just about anything when it comes to sports. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite casino games and poker games. It's easy to use to get started today. So just, simply join. Learn why everyone is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on popular sports and games. BetOnline, where the game starts. So the big wave of free agency is over. We had some trades. Um, Most of your big names are gone. Uh, there's a few still out there on free agency. Now, there's been some news, but not with the Indianapolis Colts, right? Like
Right.
like the Tyreek Hill trade. Um, we was talking earlier the Deebo Samuel situation. Uh, but the Colts did sign two guys in the past week, both safeties. One I believe is going to be in the rotational for the starters. That's my thought. The other one,
Hmm.
special teamer. I look at this as an eye opening on both these signings on the whole George Odom gone. I
Hmm.
see both of these as you just had to go get two guys to fill what George Odom does with one roster spot.
Okay. Yeah. See, I think I look at it a little different, just a little
Okay.
bit. With the signing of, oh man, I forget his Armani. With the signing of
Hmm.
Armani, for sure, special teams guy, core special teams guy. That's what he do. That's what he's kind of known for so far in his career path journey. But it, like you said, adds depth to that room. Because you want depth, you want guys that's able to play the safety position as well. But with Rodney, I think his situation a little different. Yeah, he can play special teams, but we really brought him in to secure that safety. I guess that safety play. Yeah, we got two starters, but we're bringing in a guy with over 100 starts. We're bringing in a guy that's been on some top defenses when he was with the Rams, and then going, to Philly to sign that major deal that he got with Philly, that 5-year deal or whatnot. Won a Super Bowl. We got an accomplished safety that's already been proven. He's not trying to make a team through special teams. He's literally in there to play. So I'm pretty sure that he'll probably be the one that's up for that starting role or competing for that starting role. And if he don't, obviously everybody knows with the on defense, there's so many different positions to where DBs get to play that he's going to have a vital role on that defense. You don't bring a guy in like that with over 100 starts and all these accolades to just play, a big time role on special teams, even though he's giving you depth. I think he's brought in to kind of challenge that starting role a little bit.
Yeah, I do believe that, I don't think he's going to be a starter. I think you're right, though. I think he's going to come in there and bring that challenge during, training camp and all
Hmm.
that and preseason. But as you said, the Colts do have two starters at safety, but both of them have not yet to prove that they can be on the field, consistently, due to injuries and things of
Right.
that nature, and McLeod doesn't have that major drop off, at the safety position. Plus, obviously, you don't want your guys out there 100% of the defensive snaps, even if they do play all year, right? You've got to have a guy who can come in and breathe other guys and then not have that drop off. So I'm cool with the McLeod signing. I'm looking because I thought Odom did something very similar as well. I thought he played safety pretty decent when he was, when he came in to fill in for injuries or just to give a guy a breather or something of that nature. But then again, he also did the special team stuff as well.
Right.
And that to me, the value of Odom was above and beyond just a special teams player,
Yeah, and I agree. Odom, hell of a special teams player, and like you said, a good piece to that room to fill in and keep the ball going or keep the machine going when he does get in to play safety. Um, the I guess the difference that I'm saying with the Rodney McLeod and the Odom situation is Rodney is not necessarily known as the bell cow special teamer. That's not what he's been doing his whole career. So that's what I mean by what he's going to bring to the room is going to be more so of shoring up those starting roles, whether he is a starter or whether he's playing another role within that system. I don't think that he's going to be that main special teams guy like Odom did. I think the other signing is you're gonna see him as that bell cow that's on every special teams, making plays, being that guy because that's what he does. I just don't see Rodney being Odom for the Colts, if that makes sense. I just where he's at career wise. A lot of times, guys of his stature, of his accolade, and all that type of thing, like, you're either a special teams guy coming up that earn a starting role, or you're a starter, in the league when you come in and you play all these vital roles, and you don't kind of take your
Mm-hmm.
career down to say that I'm going to stay in the league by playing special teams, if that makes sense. And I think the other signing is what kind of shored up that Odom role is we got a guy that we're going to bring in that's going to be our main bell cow special teams. Hopefully it works out that way, and he can add depth to our safety room. I think Rodney is more so of the leadership standpoint. We got a veteran guy in the room now, on top of what we already got, and he can help mold these two young guys that we have at the starting roles, and whatever they can't do, we're for sure Rodney can replace that.
So I know that they're two different players.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. The two complete different people. I'm not talking about these two guys. I want to talk about McLeod this year and Sean or what was his name? Sean. Oh, the other safety that we got last year from
You
the
know,
Steelers.
my mom's bad.
Hold on. Give me a
My
moment.
mom's bad.
Uh, oh my goodness. My brain just Sean Davis. Yes.
Okay.
The Colts had Sean Davis last year, but he didn't last, right?
Right.
He got into the season, ended up gone by week 4. But he was brought in very similar situation, a
Right.
guy who's had a lot of starting spots and things of that nature. What's the difference between a guy like Sean Davis, who had a lot of experience,
Mm-hmm.
and then McLeod, who also has the experience?
So I think it's a similar situation. I think it's a low risk, high reward, type situation. When you get guys of these statures that coming in on 1 year deals, if it don't work out, you can just wash your hands with it, and the machine keeps going per se. And that's what I think the situation with Rodney is. I don't think that he's one that's just gonna come to the coach and they're letting him know like, hey, this is what we envision as your role for this season. Like, yeah, we know you can compete for this, but we want you to, be the 5 on kickoff and be this on punt return and all that. I just don't see that conversation happening with this type of player, especially when you're talking about a guy that, every year he's been in the league so far, he's had a big role within the defense, whether it's a starter or a main reserve role or whatever the case may be. So if it don't work out with Rodney, I can easily see the Colts down the road possibly just washing their hands with and just keeping the ball going. But if it does work out, that's the high reward type. We sign a guy. I'm not sure what his deal was, but maybe 1 year vet minimum, maybe a little bit over. I'm not sure. I don't want to say numbers or whatnot, but it's going to be something to where they're not cap struck with this signing or whatever the case may be. So I think it's one of those like low risk, high reward type situations, and you just hope that I guess attributes or the things that he bring as a player fits and molds well with the coach are trying to do. I know a couple pods ago we were talking about how as a GM you want to just add the puzzle pieces until it all fits and we got the right pieces in place. And I think this is another one of those puzzle pieces to where if it fits, it's going to fit and work out great. If it don't fit, hey, we can just throw this one out, look for another one of the same RAM or the same type player.
Thank you for watching Jerraud Powers and I here on Bleav in Colts, part of the Bleav Podcast Network. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and tag that notification bell so that you're notified next time we upload a video or go live. And don't forget, you can hit that little red share button, help us out a lot with exposure and getting our stuff out to more fans. Now, let's get back to the video. Yeah. And right now, with free agency going on, there's so many, things like I said earlier, people are just looking all over the NFL for anything, whether it's depth, because you got to get up to 90 guys on your roster, right? And
Yep.
now obviously you're going to have, depending upon the team, 5 to 12 guys that are rookies plus your UDFAs and things of that. So, you don't have to get to 90 right now, but you should probably, keep looking, keep adding as you go. With free agency, I'm curious. I've been wanting to talk to you about this for a while. As a player that's currently a free agent, going back in time when the Colts were like, hey, go out, see, and you had to go through that whole situation. What's it like for a player during free agency, like to make contact with teams and sell yourself, that kind of thing?
Well, like for one, when you get drafted, like for instance, my situation, when I left the Colts. So when you get drafted and you're there for 4 years, so I basically played out my contract, my 4-year deal with the Colts. In that last year, if the team is trying to bring you back or if the team is kind of, that they're going to kind of just let you walk off, it's not really a conversation that they have to tell you. It's not like they're going to sit you down and say, hey, appreciate what you did. We're going to just let you walk out to the wolves and, good luck. Some teams will give you the proper respect to where they'll sit you down and let you know their thought process and why it's not working or why it's going to work or whatever the case may be. So when Chuck Pagano got in and we had our end of the year kind of meetings to kind of discuss some things, we kind of talked about it. He knew the situation. He knew I was getting ready to go in free agency. He knew I was coming off of, a serious toe injury that a lot of DBs retire from. A lot of just different aspects goes into, if we're going to bring this guy back or not, because if they feel like they can get a healthier guy or a guy that they can upgrade at that position, they got to look out for what's best for the business as well. So it's just one of those situations as a player, you got to take the personal stuff out of it and just think business. So when I was getting ready to go into free agency, my agent, once the days start going, we kind of had some info on what teams is interested, what the value was, and everything. And then boom, soon as free agency hits, I'm talking that 4 p.m. clock hits, boom, your phone is just ringing off the like my phone locked up like within 2 minutes when 4 p.m. hit. Just because you just don't know what the reaction's gonna be. Like I said, your agent talk, like you'll go to the combine, the agent meet with teams to get feedback and all that type of stuff. So my agent kind of had a gist of the teams, certain teams that was interested in numbers and value and all that type of things, but you don't really know until now you're in the market and they can literally call you. So when I got into the market, BA had just got hired in Arizona. Tom Telesco, who was our player personnel guy with the Colts when I was there, he was the head over player personnel. He had just got the GM job with San Diego, which now the LA Rams, which I mean, no, I'm sorry. With the San Diego Chargers. I called them the LA Rams. I apologize about that. But yeah, so he goes to the Chargers. So I had all these teams calling, trying to get me on a flight ASAP, trying to get me to their facilities and all that type of stuff. Because normally, if you get on a flight and you go to a facility, they're not going to let you leave that building until a deal is done. Because they're not flying you out just to fly you out. They're flying you out. You're basically getting recruited all over again, like you're in high school. They're flying you out. You're staying at the best hotels. You're going to go out to dinner with the coaches, all those type things while your agent and representatives is talking numbers with the team. And my situation was I was supposed to go to San Diego. The first phone call I answered was Tom Telesco. And I know Tom was mad at me for a couple years. We made up, though, had some conversations. So I was going to go to San Diego. And in my mind, I was going to sign with San Diego. The numbers and everything that they had, I was okay with. Then it's the West Coast, sunny weather. I just got into golf. And I was just like, this is the perfect start of my golf career. And then BA calls, and he's like, I'm not letting you go to damn San Diego, cancel that flight. You're coming to Arizona, come to Arizona. So I actually listened to him and called San Diego. Was like, hey, I'm gonna take this flight from Arizona. Y'all just book my flight from Arizona to San Diego. So when I leave Arizona, I will fly to San Diego to meet with you guys. I didn't know, again, I'm young. I didn't know about if you go to a facility, they were basically going to lock the doors and, until a deal is done, at the end of the day. So, we're in Arizona, and of course, I know BA from him being the interim coach, when he was with the Colts, and we go through that whole situation. So we're in Arizona, and I loved everything about it, man. And, and when we drove the numbers up to where they kind of matched what San Diego was offering, and we got the deal done. And that's kind of like free agency is wild, man. Everybody, as a player, that's like the one thing that I Bleav every player should go through. Like, I know everybody, once you get drafted to a certain team, you want to stay with that team because there's not too many people can say, like, I got drafted by the Colts and I played 15 years and I retired as a Colt. It's not too many people that can say that, which is a hell of an accomplishment. But free agency kind of puts the ball back in your court as a player, because once you get drafted, it's just like, I didn't choose to get drafted by the Colts. The Colts drafted me. It's just like you don't have any choices, when you get drafted. But when the ball is in your court and you've learned what you learned the past 4 years, just being a professional and learning the business and all those things, I mean, it's just a fun experience because it feels good to be wanted. So it feels good to be recruited and all those things, because sometimes players can be dehumanized as in some people's eyes. People just look at the players as just products on the field and nothing else, as if they're not human beings and nothing like that. So when people are calling you and recruiting you and trying to do those things, it just makes you feel good as a player. So I'm a true believer that every player should, at least before their career is over with, just go through that free agency process, because it's something that you will talk about for the rest of your life, because it's wild how the business works and the cutthroat stuff that goes on to getting players and, all that type of stuff. It's kind of crazy.
This channel is proudly sponsored by the Backroom Collection. They do beautiful sports canvas art with football, basketball, baseball, and other sports themes. Special orders are accepted and autograph pieces are available. Many Indianapolis Colts signed pieces will be available beginning in November. Just use your discount code CL10 to purchase the pieces you want to spice up your living area. That's CL10. So, I don't know what your experience was coming out of high school, but was it kind of similar, kind of a throwback to that situation coming out of high school into college?
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. You go in high school. I know me growing up, I didn't dream of playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to play football, but, back then coming up, it looked so far away, like so hard to achieve, that it was just like, I know I'm not good enough. Like, I'm this small 5'10" corner from, small town in Alabama. I'm not the fastest, not the quickest. I'm just good at football. But, you go through your high school career, and then all of a sudden, this coach sees you, and then this college sees you, and then these people are coming to your school to see you. And, Nebraska is bringing their private jet to their school just so you can talk to the coach. Just all these different things start to happen as a player. It boosts your confidence up. It
Mm-hmm.
makes you believe in yourself even more. Like, oh man, like if these billion-dollar institutions are flying all the way to see me play, like I gotta have the ultimate confidence if they believe
Mm-hmm.
in me. So you go back to that, to being able to choose what school you want to go to. Again, ball is in your court. Being able to choose whatever school you want to go to, it kind of reminds you of that. And you lose that once you get to college and you realize like the college game is a business just like the NFL
Mm-hmm.
business. You're only good as what you've done for me lately. You're either gonna excel on the college ranks, or just be a guy nobody notice, or be a guy don't nobody notice at all. That's basically how the college game go. And once you make your name, in college, and then all of a sudden you can get drafted. Once you go through the free agency process in the NFL, it takes you back to like, oh man, these people really believe in me. Like, oh, I have been doing a good job these past 4 years, even though when I was with the coach, this is not me personally, just giving an example, but even though that team that drafted me, every week that coach was telling me I was doing this wrong, and I can't do this and I can't do that. But then you go to free agency and you're like, well, damn, all these other teams say that I'm a great tackler, that I'm a great cover guy. So it just makes you feel good as an athlete, as a person.
Awesome. A lot of okay. So during free agency, it's pretty well known
Mm-hmm.
about Chris Ballard and his team building philosophy. Right.
Right.
He likes to build through the draft, get his own guys, but he does go and use free agency, whether in trades or pick up a couple guys here and there. But you don't hear much reporting about whether or not he's out there getting in contact with players and their agents. You hardly hear much at all. How much, if you know, how much contact from teams and GMs to players and their agents happen that's not reported at all?
Oh,
Is it like the majority?
none of that stuff is report. Like you won't find like a GM like calling agents or calling players. That's what the scout guy. I mean, it's so many people within the building that's
Yeah.
handling all that stuff, to where like even though Chris probably has his list of people, like he does his due diligence, obviously. He knows exactly who he wants, who he probably can't get, who he has a good shot at getting. Like he's just not waking up and saying like, hey, I wonder if such and such would love to be a coach today. He has a plan and everything execute, but teams have people in place that kind of talk to the agents and do all that, those type of things. The GM's gonna have talks with the agents when it gets serious. But far as the day-to-day stuff, I don't see Chris really, I guess, trying to stay on top of what each person is doing. Like the guys that he's want, of course, he's probably for sure in contact with those representatives, and making sure he's keeping tabs on certain guys, certain players. But you don't want too much stuff to leak from your building anyway, because it kind of gives other people heads up on what you're thinking and what you're doing, and those type things. I know we don't like the Patriots and how they do things, but you don't necessarily hear things that's coming out of the Patriots building, or things that's coming out of the Titans, or whatever the case may be, because everything you do inside your building, you want to kind of keep it inside. You don't kind of want to be that one team where everybody knows the moves you're doing or whatever you're making. You just want the world to know when it becomes official, if that makes sense. But I'm pretty sure Chris got a group of players that he has in mind that fits exactly what he wants, or exactly how he wants them to fit within the coach system and everything, that he's probably keeping a tab on and talking to agents and making sure he's up to date with what's going on with their status. Because if it's somebody that he loves or wants and he ends up signing somewhere else or whatnot, of course he's going to want to know that, so he can replace that guy with somebody else that he's like the next tier guy, or whatever the case may be. So you're not going to hear much stuff about who's talking to who when it comes to free agents and GMs and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you get on social media and stuff, and you hear Colts, see a lot of Colts fans sitting there saying, "Well, Ballard ain't even talk. Ballard and his team,
Ain't even talking.
ain't even talking to nobody. He's just trying to build up his cap space like it's his personal bank account, or something like that." And I don't see that. I see that as the Colts organization are keeping a tight lid on things. I'm sure the organization is contacting players and stuff.
Yeah.
Lots of players probably, and their agents and stuff and keeping tab, maybe even making offers or hey, can you come in for a workout or something like that? There's probably workouts that don't even get reported,
Yeah, and there's people working out every Tuesday. Every Monday or Tuesday, there's a group of free agents. Even during the season, every Monday and Tuesday, there's a group of free agents for every team that's working out, trying out, because they have to keep an eye on everything. Like they gotta make sure they can find a diamond in a rough or whatever the case may be. It's just them trying to stay sharp to find something that can be upgraded within their team. But what I think a lot of GMs today is just in a different space. It's a different football game right now when it comes to the business side of things. Like the past 3-4 years, the teams that's been winning the Super Bowls has been teams that's going out and spending money free agency wise, getting guys that are proven and guys that they know what they're doing. I think with the coach situation, Chris is trying to adapt to that, to where, yeah, we got to have the cap space ready in case we're able to sign one of these big name guys that we think that is going to fit. But in that same token, other pieces, we can still build this thing through the draft as well. It's just always a piece or two that you might have to pay to go out and get that D lineman or go out and get a Matt Ryan or whatever the case may be. Everything else can still be built through the draft. And I think sometimes as fans, we kind of forget that. We just think that if we don't sign all these big names, we're just trying to build through the draft. Well, the reason why you want to have cap space is because if one of those big names come up that you like that fits this team, you got to have enough money to get these guys. These guys are not cheap. Everybody else, rookies and all that, they're, like I said, they don't have a choice. Once we draft who we draft, you're stuck with that contract until it's up. So that's how you're able to do that. And I think he's just trying to work his way to make sure, again, if he didn't have the team numbers and cap space and all this stuff right, when Matt Ryan became available, we wouldn't have been able to get Matt, So I think it's just one of those things that he's trying to maneuver in this new era to where teams are going out and getting guys that fit and that they know that can play right now. And he's got to have his money situation and everything right. Because like I said, you look at James Bradbury, corner, he's not going to just sign for vet minimum. You look at Tyrann Mathieu, he's not a vet minimum guy. You look at Stephon Gilmore, that's not a vet minimum guy. And these all guys that still free agents, so you just never know what free agent out there that, you got a tab on to where if we sign this guy, we're going to have to pay him a little bit of money. He's just not going to come in to pay for, some chump change.
That's like, seriously, that's funny. It's like bringing in, like, let's say you have, if you're Chris Ballard, you got like $2.5 billion left on your cap space, and you bring in, Matt Ryan, and you work him out and everything's great. And he's like, all right, how about this contract? Do you like this contract? Oh, I love this contract. Great. I need to free up 12 million. Won't you sit here for a couple hours or a couple days? Cause I got to go call a couple guys real quick so we can renegotiate and get, adjust their contracts. Cause they got to come back and they got to come up here and sign, right. To make sure.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. So just like you say that example right there, that situation. So, hey, Matt Ryan, sit still for a second. I'm going to call you back in a couple of days. Let me adjust some things. So now you're going to your guys that do the dirty work, the guys that mean the most to the team, the guys that's not making as much money. Now you might have to cut this guy or that guy that meant everything to your team just to sign this other guy. So that's why I'll be telling fans, like, man, you just got to be patient. These guys know what they're doing. It's a reason why he's a GM. He knows what he's doing.
Exactly, man. And on top of that, you gotta, it's not just the business side of things. It is business, but at the same time, like as your upper management of personnel, yes, you don't have to be liked, but you got to have some kind of respect of the players. Otherwise,
For
there's no
sure.
point,
Yeah,
you
for
know.
sure.
So you got to run things a certain way and be upfront. I think being upfront is very, very important with players because let's face it, if you treat players that's on your team badly, it ain't going to take long for that to get out.
At all.
Because I mean, you as a player, you got friends, that are on other teams, and then it's going to get spread. It's going to be that whole telephone call situation, and the whole NFL will
Right.
know this GM sucks. Don't come to this
I mean,
team.
look at Jacksonville. Look at Jacksonville and Urban Meyer. That whole situation. I mean, people knew from the start when Urban was hired that it was about to be a mess over there. And then within weeks, this report comes out, that report comes out, and then players are speaking out, and all those type things. And you don't want that in your organization because, like you said, it just gives you a bad look to where
Mm-hmm.
if you're a free agent, it's like, why in the hell would I go there and be miserable just like such and such just said he was miserable? Or whatever the case may be. So you want to run your organization to a point to where players understand it's a business. That's like I said, players got to get out of the personal stuff when it comes to NFL and business. Like once you make the 53-man roster, you can take everything personal for those 17-week season. But soon as that season is over with, you got to get back in a business mind. Like you're your own corporation at the end of the day. You're your own business. So players in business with anything, whether it's sports, whether it's real world business, whatever the case may be, you just want honesty, whether it's good or bad. You would rather just have somebody being straight up honest with you because it lets you know how you can deal with it. Like you would rather somebody to tell you the truth so you can hit that problem head on rather than you sitting in a GM office and they're talking about how much they love you and how much they want you back and they're going to re-sign you and make sure your agent phone is ready, man. We're going to get a deal done. And then 2 weeks later, you don't hear nothing from them and nothing, and they go sign somebody else to take your spot. And that's the part that where I think in the NFL business it can get so cutthroat because guys are lied to all the freaking time. People are lied to, and then when the truth comes out and a player responds however he responds, that's why I always look at it like, man, you shouldn't have believed him in the first place. Like, of course he's gonna try to find somebody else if he thinks that he's better than you. I mean, it's a business at the end of the day, and I had to learn that as a player. I used to take stuff personal to the point to where it was like every team I was on, I felt like, it was the same love that I loved them. They loved me back. That's just how you grow up playing sports, team ball, and all those things. So it took me a little while to understand, like, man, like you just better go out there and do your job and do your job the best that you can possibly do it. If you win, great. If you lose, that sucks. But if you lose and you did your job great, that means nobody's blaming you for that, at the end of the day, because that's kind of how you got to look at it as a player. Like, you can go 16-0, 17-0, 18, whatever, however many games we're playing now in the NFL. Go 17-0. But if you play bad all year, they're still going to cut you. You win the Super Bowl, they're still going to let you go. So that's what I mean by players got to realize, like, you have a job to do and a responsibility to do. And that's the one thing that matters the most, because if you do your job at a high level the way that you're supposed to do, the next guy, he's able to do his job at a high level. So, and that's what I think a lot of times fans get misconstrued, because from a fan perspective, it's we love the team. Like, hey, I love Indiana. I love Indianapolis. I love the Colts. Like, I want my team to do great. They don't necessarily look at it far as from an individual standpoint.
Well, you talk about, it's free agency, it's a business. Um, Sometimes with free agency, especially with the young guys, um, when you realize that, there's a possibility of losing someone and you want to keep them,
Right.
obviously there's that extension, right? You talk, the team talks to the player and they're like, hey, this is your final year of your contract. Let's try to get an extension so we don't have to worry about that during that free agency period. And then teams end up making offers, obviously, right?
Right.
There's a few situations that's happened so far this offseason. You go look at Kyler Murray earlier this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh Completely took all of the Arizona Cardinals off his social media. Just this past week, same thing happened with
Deebo.
Deebo, right?
Yep.
Bring us through that situation a little bit on what's going on there and why players actually do that.
See, I think when you play a position like quarterback, for instance, when you play that type of position, Kyler Murray, you know you have influence. You know you have a little bit of power, even if it's a little bit. You know you have power to kind of, I guess, write your own narrative, if that makes sense. And I think with Kyler, he saw a couple guys getting paid, from his draft class or whatever the case may be, and he just wants to be paid. And I'm pretty sure when he took those pictures down and the Cardinals saw that, and then now it's in the media, now the fans are thinking that he don't wants to be there. So you see how that narrative changed like so quick.
Mm-hmm.
They have to save face, because with every team in the NFL, if your fan base is not supporting your team, you don't have a team.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, if your fans are not behind you, you're not supporting. So you don't want your fan base to be against, the team. And I think Kyler kind of changed that narrative to where now, like, the fans like, oh, he don't want to be here. He's unhappy. Like, what are we doing? Steve Kahn, Michael Bidwell, like, we need to do, like, you can just hear all that going. And I'm pretty sure they had some type of conversation, some type of talk to where we're going to get a deal done before training camp. We're going to get a deal done in the summer or whatever the case may be, because those pictures popped right back up and now
Mm-hmm.
everything seems to be fine. The situation with Deebo, I feel like because it came out of nowhere, because you look at the success the 49ers had
Mm-hmm.
last season, and you look at the success that he had as far as his value. Yeah, he don't play quarterback, but he played about 3 or 4 positions on that offense to where if you take him off that field, they can't do what they do without him. And I think he understands that he kind of controls the narrative a little bit, and he wants to get paid. I think he might be going into the last year of his deal, and wants to get paid. And I'm pretty sure at some point this summer, some point training camp, he'll follow the 49ers back and everything will be great, because they're not letting Deebo Samuel walk out of that building. I think when you're a young player, sometimes you're still learning the business, and like you said, you might see other people getting paid. Especially when you see other people getting paid that's not value like your value, that really tick you off. But what probably made Deebo mad is they might have offered Deebo a deal. And normally that first deal they offer you, that first extension, it's a low ball one. I mean, it's business. Like, why would they offer you the best of the best deal that they can possibly offer you on the first offer? So I'm pretty sure it was a low ball offer, and he got pissed off to the point he was like, what? Like, oh, are they playing with me? Like, let me go unfollow them right quick. But what can he do? He has to show up to training camp. If not, he's going to get fined. Like, he's under contract right now,
Oh
at
yeah.
the end of the day. But I think him doing that lets them know he's serious about getting an extension, and I'm pretty sure he'll get one.
You don't. I mean, if they offered him the money, like they give him a contract, and you're thinking in your head extension. I'm minimum. The 10 mil plus, right? And you look at it and go, seriously, you want to pay me $6 million a year? You know what the hell I do? And at that point, I think the team knows that he was upset, because as soon as he saw the numbers, I'm sure he was like,
That's
you
exactly.
know,
But see, this is the flip side of it that I think that some players don't realize. I didn't realize it, but sometimes being patient and waiting, the money's just gonna get higher and higher. Look at Lamar Jackson right now.
mm-hmm.
If Lamar Jackson was adamant about getting the deal done last year, this year, whatever the case may be, the Ravens would have done it. They love Lamar. Like, they love everything about Lamar, what he brings to the table, everything. They just got a report came out that Lamar said he don't even want to discuss it or talk about it until after the season. And he's going into the 5th year of his deal. And he knows he knows that Deshaun Watson just signed for the most money ever. He knows, like, all these quarterbacks is getting 35 million a year, 40 million, whatever the case may be. They're getting all this money. So when he does get a deal, who you think is going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league when he signs? Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So if he would have signed before Deshaun, Deshaun would have beat him. So there's some benefits to the waiting game as well. But I guess the other side of that is when you play quarterback and you're the franchise guy, you're not going anywhere. But when you're a cornerback, when you're a linebacker, or when you're this, oh, they can replace you ASAP. So you'll see those guys kind of force the ball a little bit to try to get their money, just because they know they play a position that's easily replaced. You can find other good cornerbacks, not everywhere. I mean, every team needs good cornerbacks, but it's certain positions that you play that they're like, all right, if he walks, cool, we can get another guy to do what he does. But when it comes to quarterback, can't just find a quarterback. Joe Blow just can't be signed on the street and come in and do the same thing Lamar Jackson does or whoever your franchise guy is. So the quarterbacks, they're a little divas when it comes to how they approach their stuff, just because they know that they got the team by the balls at the end of the day, because you're not going to find another one.
Yeah, it's the difference between Dak Prescott holding out and saying, I need money, even though I had an ankle injury and didn't even play last year. I still want money anyhow. Still got paid. Got paid. There's a difference between that and Stephon Gilmore going, I want money, and then the Patriots going, really? All right, we'll trade you for a 5th round pick.
Same thing with Revis. Revis like, huh? Like, nah, that's all right. You'll go. We'll get another one.
Yeah. And it sucks, because everybody's human. Everybody's a player. Everybody's out there putting their 110% on the field, right? But at the same time, the quarterback touches the ball that much, right? And it is what it is. It sucks for a lot.
J.C. Jackson gets 11 picks 10 however many picks he had last year, and I don't even think the Patriots offered him an extension.
Yeah, I think they already knew he's going to turn us down. We ain't paying him that much. There's no way, But then again, how much cap space did they really have after spending as much money as they did last year?
How much cap space does the Rams have?
I don't know how they have cap space, or the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, where did now see, like, when you have a situation like Tom Brady come in and he's like, oh, I'm going to bring these guys in. They're all going to be $1 million a year. They're just going to come in to play with me for $1 million a year. That's a different situation as compared to like the Rams, who were like, we're going to go get this guy and pay him X amount of dollars, then this guy and pay him X amount of dollars. And I'm like, how in the world this is going to bite the. That's what. Yeah, at some point they're pushing those contracts back, and at some point the Rams are going to look at their roster and their cap space and go, probably in the next 2 or 3 years, and look at that and go, oh, we're $100 million in the hole. The way the Saints were, last year, at the beginning of the year, and that's why I kind of like the way Ballard is doing things, because he's always, he's not pushing contracts back. So the way he, everybody else is, and he's trying to keep it straight, because, you don't want to put, you want to build long-term. It's not just for right now. Some teams are building for right now. He's building long-term. And if he pushes things back, that's going to put the team in a bad situation later on in the, next few years.
For sure. I agree.
All right. We've been running this for about 40 minutes now. Actually got a lot more in than I thought we was going to, with almost no very much stuff going on as of late, for the Indianapolis Colts anyhow, other than those 2 safety signings, which wasn't a no thing. I mean, both guys are going to definitely get some touches, respectively on their positions, most likely.
Yeah. I like both signers. I mean, like I said, it just shores up that room. You can't have enough good DBs at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You got DBs that can like play multiple positions, play special teams, and all that. Like, you cannot have enough good DBs.
So, is there anything else you want to bring up before we end up closing this out for this episode?
Nah, I know we got the draft coming up soon. That I guess our first pick is in the 2nd round. No, we don't have a 1st round pick. You think we go wide receiver, or do you think we go offensive lineman?
Ooh, I think we trade back and grab another 3rd or 4th round pick, and then use that one.
Okay.
For like probably I think it depends. I think they go with Ballard. I think it's BPA. I think he'll lean towards using that BPA on a position of need, but still BPA.
I got you. Yeah. I got you.
And honestly, at this point, I can't argue with his philosophy on how he does it. You know,
Right.
it's like Jonathan Taylor. You know, we did
That's
not
true.
need a running back at that point, let alone move up in the draft, trade
Yeah.
up in the draft to get him.
That's a
You
hell
know,
of a pick. I tell you that.
and,
Caitlin
and yet
McCutcheon.
and yet no one's arguing with him right now about that, right?
Hey, man, that was a hell of a pick.
So I'm gonna let the guy use
Do
his
his
strength
job.
and
Yep.
do what he does. I will not argue at all. I mean, because Darius Leonard was the worst pick in NFL history in the draft. So
Right.
Ballard don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, keep getting these greats.
I know. Well, I do want to say real quick though, it's not just Ballard; it is his
The
team
team.
as
Yeah,
well.
team. Yep.
He's got a great group of people, of scouts and stuff, and let's not forget about Ed Dodds and all them other guys.
No, for sure. And I know we're about to head out, but a lot the fans that's listening, the scouts, like their word goes a long way in the building. Those are the people that the GMs, player personnels, directors, and all that, they're depending on the scouts to bring them information, and they're going off of what the scouts say, and then they'll go do their own research. So the scouting guys on every team plays a vital role. I'm talking vital role. They have to learn the defense that the team runs. They have to learn the offensive systems the team run, and they have to go out there and search for guys that fits within the system. They're just not looking at guys to see if they're fast, if they're long, if they do all this stuff. They're looking for guys that literally fit the system, and it's hard, like, because, I mean, who's to say a guy comes in and, he's 0 for 10 on the guys that he's brought in, that the 50 like, these guys' jobs are on the line. So you got to think that everybody's doing the best that they possibly can to bring in the best guys to fit what we do as a coach. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus the amount of work these guys put in.
Man,
You
year
think,
round.
well, they're sitting behind the desk and
Uh,
no, these guys are probably out. I
every
can't.
Saturday they're at games. Like
Yeah,
during football
yeah.
season, they're at the college games on Saturdays. Yep.
They driving there,
Yep.
driving.
Traveling. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Ursay ain't loaning his personal jet
Hell,
out to the freaking scouts.
and then on Monday they have to be in they have to be in the staff meeting on Monday, giving a
Mm-hmm.
report on guys that they just went to go see. They giving a report on to Chris Ballard and whoever else is in that room, saying like, "Hey, yeah, we went to go see Jerraud Powers today. He did this. He can do this. I don't like this. I like that, or whatever." And then it's up to Chris to decide, yes, I like him, or nah, I will go with the next guy. That's how it's done. Like they're gonna bring up and give you every pro and con, and then they have to explain why is Jerraud a good fit for what we do. Like they have to tell the GM that. It ain't the GM is just looking at notes or whatever. They have to sit up there and vouch for a guy. So that's why I'm saying the scouts do a hard job. The scouts has a hard job as well.
What about pro scouts? Do they go to the games on Sundays, like
I'm
around the league or something? Or
I'm not sure if I ever seen pro scouts from any other team at our game, but I'm pretty sure it's somehow they're they're doing what they're doing. I'm not sure about that one though. I'm gonna have to do my research.
yeah, that's something I've always wondered, because I mean, you want to see the stuff what's going on in real life in front of you, because I mean that's why combine is there, right? That's
Right.
why you have guys come in and do test runs and stuff like that, because tape is tape, but you still want to see it live in front of your face too. So
Yep.
that's why I think there's got to be a way pro scouts go out and see these guys in action beforehand. I mean, obviously they got all their reports from when they were in college still, but they're not this. Most likely, they're not the same person by that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I'm
Even
not sure how they go. I'm gonna have to do my research. I'm gonna have to call some people to see exactly what the pro scouts do.
all right.
So the next pod, we're gonna talk about that next pod.
That sounds like an idea. Maybe we could get one on here. That'd be awesome.
That would be good.
That would be awesome. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bleav in Colts. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you did enjoy it, make sure you download it. If you're listening to this on the audio podcast, go check out the video version over on YouTube on the Lawrence Owen channel. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go check it out on the audio podcast over on Bleav Podcast Networks. slash Bleav in Colts. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Jerraud Powers. And as usual, go Colts.
Go Colts.